discern that this person's toxic. It's not my job to fix them. I'm going to just love them with light, but I'm going to create a big distance. They're not going to be here. They're going to be out here. See my hand? They're going to be out here. They're not going to be here. You can't bring them into your heart. These are people with personality disorders. They lack empathy and 100% self-reflection. So recovery is less than 1%. I mean, they have to like have a Jesus moment multiple times and even maybe, but they don't.
On my $1 million hustle. It's
The $1 Million Hustle Podcast, where we keep it real, I stated entrepreneurship wisdom. Learn to think like a millionaire and hustle like you're broke. Here's your host, Billy the Kid, aka Billionaire.
Feel like a millionaire and hustle like you broke. This free game to change your life, you better so. Think like a millionaire and hustle like you broke.
Welcome to the $1 Million Hustle Podcast, baby. It is your boy Billy the Kid, aka BDK, in this mug, and actually aka Billionaire in this mug. Wow, like, guys, this was such an amazing episode. I cannot wait for you guys to hear it, and it is life-changing, guys. It's gonna teach you a lot about relationships and just so many great vibes. Azadeh, thank you so much for joining us today. Before we get into the episode, guys, so depending on when you're listening to this, which it might be early spring, early summer even, but I just wanted to give you guys a quick update. So right now, it is hectic. It's just a blessed life, and I always hashtag blessed life. And then, I'm always gonna say prayed and paid, and that's just the motto that I live by, and my businesses and everything. And it's just a blessing. It's the word that comes to mind is busy in a good way. We're super busy right now. I'm finishing up building my dream house right now in our acreage. It's crazy, guys. Like we're totally the family and we're just living our best life, guys. Like we're our dream life, right? And it's very important. And guys, that's just the exterior, right? That you guys see, right? That people see. But it took a lot of work, guys. It took, and I'm not even talking about just like the business side of it, but just the inside, right? Like the inside work that you have to do, the inner work that you have to put in order for you to change, to get to that next level, right? To acquire that next best self, if you will. And even when you level up to that next level, you have to go to the next one and the next one, and that is what I call getting uncomfortable. So that is kind of my tip of the day. But yeah, guys, it's $1 Million Monday officially. Again, I'm recording this on Thursday, but $1 Million Monday when you're listening to it. And I did mention get uncomfortable. Grab a copy of my book, The Power of Being Uncomfortable, out everywhere. Listen to the audio version. And guys, I cannot wait for you guys to see my new studio. Again, I'm building everything right now, but soon enough, I can't wait for you guys to kind of see what I have in store on that side of it. I also mentioned get uncomfortable, guys. If you're ready to level up, please hit me up for the mastermind, the Get Uncomfortable Mastermind. Guys, I promise you it is life-changing. Matter of fact, if you don't want to commit, hit me up, and you could join us for 30 days so you could see the amazing fire and what this group can and will do. Because again, guys, and we talked about it on this podcast, I promise you that if you're not surrounding yourself with people like that, and you might look at the price and be like, oh, well, I got to pay for this. And it's like, yeah, but it's gonna, honestly, guys, and every member will tell you that it'll pay back in tenfold, and especially just even within the group, but then just what you do outside of the group with your life, business, and personal, guys. I promise you it's life-changing, and that's why even if you want to check it out 30 days just so you can see what the buzz is all about, hit me up. We are currently full, so if you are interested, please send us an email to info@billythekid.com. with your story and why you want to join the group and what you have going on, entrepreneurship and all the other stuff you might have going on. And then we'll go ahead and put you on that waiting list whenever the next spot is available. But other than that, guys, I think that is all I got, man. I'm just excited for you guys to listen to this episode. It was so amazing. So many great, uncomfortable conversations that we had. So with that being said, here it is, Azadeh, baby. Let's get it. Vámonos. Welcome to the $1 Million Hustle Podcast, baby. It is your boy, Billy the Kid, a.k.a. BDK. Guys, I am pumped right now. Even before we started recording, we were already just getting these great vibes going. I can't wait for you to hear Azadeh today. How you doing?
Good morning. Good morning, peeps. Good morning, Billy. Let's fire it up.
Yeah, no, I'm super pumped. Your story is very amazing. And let's start there. At the beginning of the show, I like to get to basically for people to get to know you, right? To know your story and basically why you're even here, right? So if you could let us know your story from the beginning.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You guys, I was born in Iran. And I was literally born in a war zone. I woke up looking and seeing trauma and riots. That was my beginning. And I didn't even know that trauma and hate was something that we should not be in. I mean, I was groomed into trauma, abuse, riots, and violence because I was born in a time where there was a war going on in Iran. And, you know, we escaped Iran during the revolution. We literally escaped to United States. And I had to learn English, the second language at 6 years old, 7 years old. And
how old were you Azadeh?
I was like 6, 7 years old.
When you moved from Iran, was it around that time then?
6, 7 years old. Yep.
Wow. So just a child.
A child. And because you've been through your children being a 6, 7-year-old a few times. So and yourself, that we just look at the world and absorb it, not knowing if it's the right thing to absorb or not. But we just absorb it, right? And my life just, was just chaos, crazy, violent, addictions. And ultimately, in high school, I was drinking Robitussin and whiskey in the morning and doing meth in the afternoon and experiencing domestic violence from abusive boyfriends. I mean, it was mayhem in my life. And I just didn't know how to not do that. The harder I try to fight, the more I was getting in my own way and abusing myself. And I ultimately became homeless, Billy, on drugs, in and out of jail. And I thought I was a hustler then. I was a badass then. I thought the more I endured this pain and violence, the bigger and better badass I will be. And what was happening is I was dying in a dark hole.
And I do have a question right there, Azadeh, because that's kind of what have got my attention with your story was just destruction, right? Like at the beginning. And obviously now where you're at right now and all the great stuff that you're doing, it's easy for me to tell you this and for you to understand that obviously if you were to be doing the stuff now, it would be your fault, right? Like you're the one doing it to yourself. But at that time, what would you blame was the reason for all that destruction and kind of the reasoning why you did what you did at that time?
Yeah, that's a really good point. I grew up in a very dysfunctional cultural family that my connection to my family was abuse, neglect, and abandonment. So I reinforced that. Now, this is not to blame because that was me as a child, but ultimately I had to take the responsibility and rise from that. And also, let me just say this too, is that during the revolution, when we moved here, I was being bullied. So it was all around me. I was being bullied. I was being called Ayatollah daughter, because they hated the Iranians back then, hated them. And so it was just trauma, abuse, bullying in my own family, abuse. And so I thought this is how I need to be and get resilience in abusing myself. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. No, definitely. And sadly, because I relate to that totally. Like, it gave me chills just because my teenage era, and even just as a child, I feel like I've always been the man of the house, right? Since I was a kid, with being raised by a single mom and all that. And as a teen, just being reckless, doing stuff that a teen shouldn't be doing. And with that being said, what's the relationship like now with your family and just that, some people from that era of your timeline there?
Great question. I stayed in hate a long time where it was destroying me. I had to rise from that. And this is to all of our audience. Hate will weaken you. Hate will take you down. Hate will bring poverty. Hate will bring isolation and darkness. I had to learn that to love them and forgive them was my answer to hustle up, was my answer. And now, of course, 4 books later, 3 bestsellers, they are very proud of me. And but now I try and help my cousins. I try and help my parents. I try to help them because, God said, forgive them for they know not what they do. Jesus said that. And if he said that, I have to come to that eventually myself too. But it gets in the way. Hate, resentment, darkness, rumination, all of that weakens us.
Yeah.
So I've turned to love because that's the highest spiritual warfare, is love. I've turned to love towards them, and I do for them what they can't do, support them, hold them up however I can, because that's what a warrior is.
Wow, such an amazing answer, and totally so relatable. That's why I like you, Azadeh. There's so many. I can't wait to keep going.
Yeah.
Because it's so true. Just I love that you said hate will bring poverty. I feel like that is such an amazing point, because I've seen that over and over where, especially people that maybe will look at you as an inspiration, but then they turn that inspiration into hate, and then it's like you're just really hurting yourself at the end of the day. And I love the whole love thing, because it's so true. Like, somebody does something crazy to you, or whatever, and you're just looking at them like, hey, I love you. Like, that's always going to win. Like, love will always win at the end. So I love that approach. It's so amazing. Go ahead. It looks like you have some fire to speak.
I'm like, I knew God was like, contact Billy, contact Billy, contact Billy.
Love it. No, yeah, I'm super pumped to have you. And like I said, so relatable. And we're just starting out too. So okay, if you could elaborate, because I feel like that was such a fire line. Hate will bring poverty. Can you elaborate on your perspective and kind of the experiences that you've seen on that? Because that's a tough line right there. I love it.
Oh yeah, it is. And it goes and coincides with your work. We want to be a millionaire. We want to have financial freedom. What's getting on our way? So here I was wanting all of that, but the hate was pulling me down, and it was blocking me from people, places, and opportunity. People, places, opportunity that were going to help me level up, because I was in hate. And if you didn't join me in hate, then if you didn't join me in hate, then you were against me. That's the mindset. I mean, now I don't have a mortgage, and I used to be homeless, and I'm 52. I mean, so we have to look at that and go, Okay, so hate is in the way. We have to know what's in the way of our goals. And for me, it was hate and rage.
Hmm. And I'm so glad that you mentioned your age, because that was one of my questions I was gonna bring up. Like, you look so young, my friend. Like,
I love that. Bring it.
you
Bring
probably
it.
hear
Bring
that a lot, don't
it.
you?
Bring. Thank you so much. I
uh,
love that. I'm the most vibrant I've ever been. I mean, I've been clean and sober 22 years off streets, meth and alcohol and domestic violence. And so having a good life and God and love and it's like drinking from the fountain of youth. Everybody thinks I'm like 35 and I'm like, listen, I mean, eat right and exercise, but it's because there's love in me now, not hate.
mm, love it, love it, love it. And one, I couldn't help but think, just hearing all the craziness that you've gone through as a day. What would you say to somebody going through that right now? And it doesn't have to be a kid, a child. It could be an adult, because there's some people that will hit 50 and or 40, 30, right? And they're still on the same stuff, right? Like, what would you say to that person? And then it's almost like a two-part question. In the future, once that person becomes, once they grow, like, how do they find their purpose, we'll call it, or their calling, right? Because obviously with you, you have already found that you're in this lane now that nobody can stop you, and you're just shining, my friend. So if you could answer those questions.
When you said lane, you're in the right lane now. That's where I was going. We have to recognize, to whoever's out there, first of all, my heart goes out to you. My heart goes out to you. Addiction, dysfunction, abuse, you feel trapped, like you're bouncing against the wall. So I want to make sure you know I hear you and see you. But I will tell you this. I cannot be in your vocabulary. You have to find the people, the places, the opportunities. I got tons of help. I had a team. I had to create a team for my sobriety, my emotional wellness, a spiritual path. Here's the deal. You can't do it alone. Can't. That's the only can't I'm going to say. The rest is up to you. You got to find that right lane and be with the winners that love being sober, love like you, love creating, love doing the things they want to do. And in relationships, be around the people that will love and nurture you and lift you up, not pull you back down.
I love that. So powerful. And I just couldn't help but think, even just like the mastermind that I run, the Get Uncomfortable Mastermind,
Yeah.
that, like, literally, because one thing I've learned is entrepreneurship and all that. It can be a lonely road if you don't put yourself in the right rooms, right? And I did my time, the first decade, we'll call it, or even longer probably, where I would run to friends, family, and nobody understood me, right? Like, I'm like, hey, I found this book I want you to read, or hey, let's start a business together, let's do this together, and everybody would look at me crazy, right? So it's a very lonely road, and I think it's important to find people like the Get Uncomfortable Mastermind, like Azadeh, that is doing amazing things, like me, right? That we're here to lend you a hand at the end of the day, and let you know that you are not alone. You just have to find the right people to get yourself around that. Can you elaborate a little bit on that? Yo, we'll be right back to this great episode of the $1 Million Hustle Podcast. Before we continue, I want you to go grab a copy of my book, The Power of Being Uncomfortable. It is out on Amazon. It is out on Barnes & Noble, Walmart.com, Target.com, and everywhere else books are available. The great news, guys, is you could go to BillyTheKid.com and grab an autographed copy. That is right. I'm going to mail you an autographed copy right now. Audiobook is also available on Audible, and everywhere else audiobooks are available. So go listen to it. Go grab yourself an autographed copy, and I'll see you on the other side, baby. And now back to this great episode of the $1 Million Hustle Podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. I have felt alone more in my victories at times than when I was around addiction, dysfunction, and abuse. And here's what I want.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
right.
Wow. That like gave me chills as a day. Keep going, my friend. That's amazing right there.
I
Seriously.
love hearing your chills because see, and it transmits to me, right? And that goes back to what you were saying. At the end of the day, we're putting our hand out because what I give you comes back to me.
Mm.
How I
Mhm.
help you comes back to me. I take care of you and help you lift you up, then God takes care of my worries and my pain.
So true.
It's the spiritual axiom. It's the spiritual axiom. So yes, I've been lonely. I've been writing books where people are like, "What are you doing writing books? What are you doing? Go get a secure 8 to 5 job with insurance." Nope, nope. I believe in my dream and I believe in myself.
Mm.
I have to. Other
Yeah.
people will fall, change, turn, leave, die, not believe, inject fear into my dreams. Man, I got to believe me, even in the darkest times of loneliness.
Mm. And it's so funny. I'm looking at it here the other day. Uh, that line you said, like you felt more alone during your victories, is so true.
Mm, mm,
I posted the other day something along the lines of like, if I were to take the success away that I have right now, I would have more friends. And it just means that you stand for what you believe, right? Like you're 10 toes down on what it is that you're trying to accomplish. And it is so true. That's why that line hit me so hard, because back then when and I feel like since a teenager, I've always had that like entrepreneurship bug in me, right? But even then, when I was drinking and partying and all the craziness, all the crazy stuff going on, um I feel like that's where I had more people around me, right? Because we were equal. And unfortunately, I try to help everybody around me, but no, not everybody can go to that next level. Unfortunately, that's just how it works. And so that's why that line hit me. Uh, you're killing it right now. Can't wait to keep it rolling. You mentioned the spiritual axiom. Can you explain a little bit about that?
yes. So first, let me say that God has shown his power and his presence in my darkest times and hour in a way that I felt like, and I wrote this in my book, like he was so close to me in presence that it felt like the top layer of my skin. And so I say that because when we go to Father God and pray and ask for his protection and guidance and healing, it's available. It's just that we don't trust, first and foremost. And secondly, and so that's how I believe and trust in God's power. And secondly, when everybody abandoned me, when everybody injected fear in my entrepreneurship thoughts, that's when I ran to God. And I felt God said, "You got to go and help others back. I helped you, go help others back." And the spiritual axiom is when I'm obedient to his word and calling, I get double for my trouble. I look 35. I used to be homeless. I have a mortgage-free home where I live. That's how it works. It's not about pushing people down to get to the top. It's about putting my hand out and saying, "Let's go." That's the spiritual axiom, but the world will say different. The world would say, "Get on top, be the best, you got to push people down, you got to abandon people, they can't give you what you want, ditch them." There's always there's always a prize in every relationship. Always. So following God's obedience has not only been transformational, but it's materialized. It's
Mm,
materialized for
mhm.
me. So
I love
then
that.
that is the spiritual axiom. Does that answer your question?
Yeah,
Like,
no, and I just keep thinking, again, just so relatable. Like I said, I'm relating to you in every step of the way, because I've always said, like, you're gonna go out there and meet people, right? Like you're gonna find the right people, but out of those 10 people, every 10 people you meet, there's always gonna be that one a-hole, right? And that one a-hole at the end of the day can and will teach you a lesson. Like I look back to every relationship, you know, where I put my hand out there and like, come on, let's go, right? And they just don't want it as much as I do. So at that point, I just relate to that of like there was a lesson, and I truly believe too that there was a sprinkle that I left in them that God guided me to do that for, if that makes sense. Because
Yes.
the reason why they were fighting back was because they're going through the craziness, right? That like you went through as a child and just as a teen and all that. They haven't dealt with it, so I'm hoping that sprinkle will kind of turn them on into this new path, right? So with that being said, how do you get selective with kind of the people that you keep around, and just when you try to help people and they don't want to be helped, like how have you dealt with that?
You know what? And I love what you just said. And I resonate strongly with it. Billy, I learned through doubt, confusion, and pain that when I tried to lend a hand, it was rejected. So I had to really honor and respect the space people are in. So when I help and there's a resistance, I got to back off because I want their own conscience to speak. I don't want to override their conscience because I work with a lot of people. I mean, I work with couples, I work with people one-on-one. I'm, constantly. And I tried to save people from themselves. That got me broken down. So I have to honor and respect their right to destroy themselves.
Mm.
Right? Right?
Mhm.
That's their
Seriously.
right.
Yeah, I love that. And to kind of go along with that, rise and rebuild. I think I know what it means, but can you tell us why you went with that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to first and foremost say I'm not religious. My connection to God is purely relationship and power and authority. And and in the Bible, and I'm also not a big Bible thumper, although all my books have God in them. So Rise and Rebuild comes from the book in the Bible, the book of Nehemiah. The book of Nehemiah is to just give you a quick summary and a snapshot of it. Is Nehemiah is so Jerusalem gates were constantly getting battered. And so nobody knew how to stop those gates from getting battered. And that's what I relate to into my inner soul. I kept letting people in, abuse in, and kept getting battered internally. And the book of Nehemiah talks about how he went to the king and said, hey, can I rebuild these gates for you so that the gates of Jerusalem doesn't get battered? And that's where I got Rise and Rebuild from, because I had to rise and rebuild and not let anybody else batter my internal gates. And I had to rise and rebuild those gates because nobody else was going to. I was waiting for everybody else to not hurt me, but they continued to. Billy, they continued to emotionally batter me and hurt me. And I would just sit there and take it. And I was waiting for them to stop. I had to learn to make it stop. And so I had to rise and rebuild my gates. But I got it from the book in the Bible, the book of
Wow,
Nehemiah.
so amazing. I love it. And you just released some great books out there, some great content, right? We'll call it, because you're killing it, my friend. Why? And I have a lot of questions on this subject, but why
Yeah,
did you
yeah.
go? Because you've studied narcissist a lot, and why that lane? Let's start with that question. Why that lane?
I had to figure out why I kept attracting abusive people first.
Mm-hmm.
Parents, boyfriends, girlfriends. Why? Why? The only common denominator is me, Billy. Can't keep looking at them. Gotta look at me. So I started to do the deep dive. And I started to unpack patterns. And I sat with God and I started to say, what is this? What is this that I'm so broken and I'm sober off drugs and alcohol and have God in my life? Why am I feeling so wounded and broken all the time? And I started to do the research. God will show you. God will show you. He will show you. And I started to research what this is that I was feeling and experiencing. And every research I did pointed to narcissistic traits. And I was like, I was raised in a narcissistic culture. It's a culture. And so because I was raised in it, I was attracting it because that's the energy that's in me. You with me? You
Wow.
with me on that one? With your culture?
Yeah.
With your background? Right? There's some,
Seriously.
right? And so part of the rise and rebuild comes from that. But anyway, then I did the research and I was like, that moment where I feel like God lifted the veil and I was like, oh my God, this is narcissistic abuse. And I'm the codependent victim that's showing up in it.
Wow.
So I started doing the deep dive. And then I decided that all the work that I do and all the books that I do write is going to have God, because if God can heal my trauma and my abuse and push these people out of my life, then others can too. So narcissists have been the people that broke me, and I let them. I let them, Billy, until I stopped letting them.
I love that. And then so you released 12 steps, right, of recovery from narcissist abuse, which is amazing. Those of you who are watching, she has it right there. Where can people find it?
Oh yeah, it's on Amazon. And I want to say, are you familiar, Billy, with the 12-step model, like AA, Al-Anon, any of that?
No, actually, that was my next question after that. If you could
Okay,
walk
you
us
guys, you
through
can
it.
get it on Amazon, $13, and it is a formula. It has God all over it. It's my own journey from being a member of Alcoholics Anonymous, because that's where I got sober 22 years ago, and then working the 12 steps. Because not everybody can afford to get help. Not everybody can even understand it. And I see a lot of friends relapse because they're in an abusive relationship and go back to drugs and alcohol. And so I thought, I got to create this. And I got to tell you this. Because I'm so fired up. Remember how you were asking me earlier about how it feels lonely in your victory? Some of the people in my 12-step community are like, I could feel it. I could hear it. Who does she think she is, rewriting the 12 steps? Who does she think was born 1935. When God calls you to do something, don't you dare dismiss it, because it's meant to pull the magic out of you. And so I did it. I sat in a parking lot and I wrote it while my husband was getting eggs. I just was like, all right, God, let's go. And I rewrote it. So it's a workbook.
I see. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. I see the 12 steps now. I love it. Can you share just a couple with our audience?
Yes. So this is a deep dive on your, we're going back into the pockets of pain in this workbook. We're bringing God into it. You're writing it out, sharing it with others. But the first step is because with narcissistic abuse, we get so confused of what's going on. We're like, they love me. No, they don't. Yes, they do. No, they don't. What is it? It's like, the first step is we admitted that we are in a narcissistic relationship or have been. So if you have been, this is going to help you, because this kind of insidious abuse leaves residue in the soul that can show up in other relationships. So this is for you, if you've been exposed to it before or now. Step one, we admitted we are in or have been in a narcissistic relationship. Step one. Step two, I'll give you another one. Step two is we courageously stand and dissolve cognitive dissonance, the insanity of it. Like I said, a lot of us that are abused, the ones that have been abused psychological abuse, we can't figure out. It's like the computer brain is constantly trying to download and process an answer, and it can't. So step 2 is we stand and dissolve and say, I know this person can be nice sometimes, but the abuse is the real person because it's underneath the mask. I can't fall in love with the mask. And then I want to say one more thing. And I'm so fired up today, Billy. I mean, I slept good. I prayed. I'm, I'm just fired up. But
Love it.
there's a piece in step 2. And I want to bring this home to your audience because so many people are in these relationships and are ashamed to talk about it because they have to look so good on the outside. And I'm here to tell you, break that silence, break it. Because if you want to level up, you want financial freedom, you want to hustle, that relationship is going to be in the way if they're constantly battering you. So here's what I want to say. In step 2, I created Healing Your Vision. And it says, what do I want to see in this person and believe this person is, and the reality of what this person really is. So we break it down. We break it down. And oh my God, I'm fired up. It's only been out a week today. It's only been out
That's
7
awesome.
days.
I love it.
7 days. Yes.
Love it. Love it. Yeah, no, it's such a, I want to ask you this because it's such a crazy category. And I love that you're speaking on it because, I truly believe that at the end, it's almost like everybody is until you find out about it and you try to work that you're not, if that makes sense. And you
Yes,
tell
it
me what you
does.
thought of that,
Yes.
because that's obviously you've been in studying this. So with that being said, what like a couple questions. Can you give us some like crazy facts about people that are narcissists, and then just like what percentage of people are narcissists? Like those are the 2 questions I would love to ask you.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I get fired up talking about abuse. That's how you know, by the way, it's your calling, because you get
Mhm.
fired up. Anyways, so statistically say like 7%, but I'm gonna say, so if you do the research, how many people are narcissists in the world, you're gonna get like a really small 1-digit number. Here's what I'm gonna say. In my research and my experience and the people I work with, it's not an accurate number. I believe it's much higher, and I'm going to tell you why. Because as a counselor and a coach, narcissists are so good at showing up as a victim. Most therapists, and I work with therapists, teach them this dynamic because I have a degree and nobody taught me in my degree this. I had to figure this out on my own. And, so anyway, narcissists in areas where the number pull is pulled, they're going to show up as a sweetheart and as a victim. So most therapists that are not versed in it are not going to see it. So we're not going to have an accurate number. But I'm here to tell you it's on the rise. I'm here to tell you we've only diagnosed this as a personality disorder like 23, 24 years. It's literally diagnosed now only 23, 24 years. So that's that answer. And the second answer for you is what's the traits? I want to just first say, be very careful, because most people today, it's become a buzzword, and they say just because someone's having a bad day or they're angry or things aren't going right or they're in grief or something or under pressure, they're a narcissist. No, they're not. No, they're not. They're having a bad day. Give them grace. Here's how you know that it is someone that's a narcissist. First and foremost, they're on a spectrum. It's not black and white. Some people are way high, like Hitler is a malignant narcissist, sociopath, where some people don't go that high. They are lower in the spectrum. But here's the traits. Watch this, you guys. So look at this circle that I'm drawing right here, right? It's a cycle. First is the love bomb, and they love bomb you in areas you're wounded. For example, if you're starving to become an entrepreneur, and this person you don't even know comes to you and goes, oh my God, you're magic. You're the next Eminem. I just know it. You're going to kill it. I'm going to invest in you. And you're like, yes, you believe them right away. Yes. So they love bomb you in a wound or a need. Second, slowly, all of your amazing characteristics start to get devalued. you know, well, maybe you're not as talented. I mean, you're not killing it. I mean, your song sounds shitty. What? You know, like you're like, what? 6 months ago, you said I was like the next Eminem, which I love Eminem, by the way. You're the next Eminem. So then the value, so it goes from love bomb to value. Then they start pulling away, ghosting you, discarding you in the hopes for you to panic. And so after the discard, when they let you go, you're frantic. The same person that thought you were magic now has abandoned you and discarded you. And then they come back again and hoover back to, you're amazing. I love you. Oh my God. You know what? I made a mistake. Let's go back to it again. That cycle repeats. So the cycle is love bomb, devalue, discard. And the discard could be like a smear, like on social media and friends, and then hoover. This cycle just continues over and over. There is no, you know, breaking it. It's just a constant cycle. That's how you know you're dealing with the narcissist. And then the value and the discard could be like, the devalue could be like screaming at you, name calling, verbal and emotional abuse. The discard is all of a sudden they ghost you, silent treatment, stonewalling, and then they come back and go, oh, yes, I messed up. Let's try this again. So we get addicted to the highs and lows of this person, the highs and lows, the highs and lows. We think it's intimacy, but it's really intensity, and it's not God's design in a relationship.
Wow.
Yeah. Did that, I hope that helped the audience.
Yeah.
To know
Seriously,
that cycle.
no, that's amazing right there. And how do you it, like, especially if it's somebody you care for, right? Like family, friends, or whatever, how do you come at them, we'll say, to kind of call them out?
We'll be right
Before
back.
we continue,
Go subscribe to Billy the Kid YouTube.
that is Billy DHA KIDD.
Also, go follow Billy the Kid Music on Spotify
Pandora, Apple Music,
and everywhere else
Music is available.
And now, back to this great episode. Let's go.
Hopping out the two, though, we're number 2, foe. Feel like Kobe, though I'm winning, need to do more. My mama sorry, college wasn't for me. Street smart, no degree, just like Kobe. Self-made boss with a suit like a mogul. I'm the new era, you see it on my
Oh my God, Billy, you are right after my heart. I'm with you. Come on, let's figure this out. Let's work it out. This is what you do. This is how it makes me feel. Can we work it out? Because our godly design is for connection and reciprocity and moving forward and back to understanding, but not with the narcissist. So what do? Do not. Here's the deal. Here's the hardest part of it, you guys, everybody out there, Billy, all of us, including myself. You cannot call them out. Discern it. Do not, here's the 3 rules. Don't defend, don't engage, and don't overshare. That's what they want. They want you to invest in their toxicity. What you need to do is discern that this person's toxic. It's not my job to fix them. I'm going to just love them with light, but I'm going to create a big distance. They're not going to be here. They're going to be out here. See my hand? They're going to be out here. They're not going to be here. You can't bring them into your heart. These are people with personality disorders. They lack empathy and 100% self-reflection. So recovery is less than 1%. I mean, they have to like have a Jesus moment multiple times and even maybe, but they don't. So how do you handle them? You discern, you don't, here's the one thing, biggest thing, do not share your emotional vulnerabilities, because they will put that in their pocket for later to weaponize you. It's sick. It's dark.
Yeah.
You have to be very careful.
Man, fire. And I'm assuming, obviously, it's probably worse in relationships, right? Like intimacy and stuff. But in general relationships, as far as even like friends, like and just co-workers, maybe whoever's listening, or maybe other entrepreneurs even, right? Like how what would be the best way to like identify that right away if it is somebody like that?
That's a good question. And oh my God. And I love sharing and talking to you about this because of the work you do. A lot of people are dying and aching and craving to become entrepreneurs. And they can also at the same time be the biggest target. What do? Anything that's too much, too soon, too fast is a red flag. Relationships happen gradually. Now, you say, well, Azadeh, what if somebody's an entrepreneur in my mastermind and is like ready to level up and I want to give it to them, or vice versa? You can, but you have to discern red flags. You have to discern that they were constantly trying to get into your life. They want to know about Lily because I was looking at your podcast, your youngest. They're like, they look for situations that would be close to your heart. And then they want to get in it and they want to attach themselves to it. So I could go on and on, but too much, too soon, too fast is a red flag. Any relationship, whether it's dating, mentorship, even a pastor, I'm telling you, there's narcissistic pastors. So go slow, check them out. Pay attention to the red flags, because if you're craving and wanting to be a badass in your entrepreneurship, and then there's somebody that preys on that wound, not to say don't get help, but don't share the rest of your life. Keep it to just like the hustle business, just that. Don't start talking about your kids and your relationships at home, because that's how they get in. I'm telling you guys, all the audience, it is way easier to stay out than get out. Take that one home. It's way easier.
Yeah. And at the beginning, as a day, you mentioned our culture, right? Like and you mentioned parents and all that. Like how can someone deal, because obviously if it's their mom, dad, especially culturally, right? Like how can somebody deal with them just because it is their parents? And and then to even sweeten up this question, I mean, we know what the Bible says about your parents, right? Like you have to honor them. So what's your perspective on that?
I love all of your questions so much. I really do. In fact, if you're becoming a podcaster, listen to the questions that Billy's asking, because it hits exactly where to ignite good answers and help others. Anyway,
thank you
the
so
Bible,
much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome. Also, the Bible also there's a book in there that is not the most popular one, but it's Leviticus. Now, I am bilingual, so I do sometimes have a little tongue twist. But the book of Leviticus, look at that. It is harshly talking about how God hates abuse. Please look at that, Billy. I think you'll find some of the answers, but I will give you my experience and strength and hope on this. And that is that I have two parents that are alive. I'm going to hit a little tender piece for everybody, okay? But I've done so much healing that I can easily talk it over. But for anybody, I feel God's telling me to say it. My father is a psychologist, and he's also a covert narcissist who sexually molested me as a little girl. Today, I have no, what can I say? I don't really have any more pain from that. So I believe God would not have me sit with him 24/7 because it re-triggers my abuse. So how do we handle that? How do I handle that? Years of pain. I have learned to have the relationship on my terms. I have learned I'm not doing this relationship and service work for him. I'm doing it for God, because that God is my ultimate father. I have learned to show up doing their paperwork, because they're elderly, me and my husband, their paperwork, computer work. That's it. I live 7 hours away. Having close physical connection, I can't do it. I've tried to forgive. I've tried. So you have to determine what you can and can't do. I can do for them what they can't do for themselves, but too much no emotional vulnerability really, but it's more on my terms and I do it for God. So, and I have confronted them on their abuse. And guess what, you guys, back to what Billy was saying, it was rejected back. So find your boundaries, what works and what doesn't. Don't go by what culture says you should do. You got to do what protects your soul, because you, again, back to rise and rebuild, you don't want to get battered again. And also read the book of Leviticus. Really highly talks about abuse, like soberingly, if that's a word. So you got to find your path. You got to find your path.
That's such an amazing answer, and it's so crazy. One of the albums I have in my head, and I'm saying it here first, so if somebody else releases it, I know where you got it from.
Yeah, exactly. No, and I'm his witness. I'm his witness.
There you go.
Yeah.
Or even just a project, maybe just a song, but generational curses to generational wealth. And because I feel like that's your story, my story, and it goes back to, I love that you said not doing what your culture says, because I feel like, you have all these oh, well, they're older, so no matter what, you have to respect them, right? And respect goes far, but you have to give respect in order to receive it, right? And I feel like all that gets lost in the sauce when it comes to our cultures. And so I love that you mentioned that. And guys, if you're listening, like these are some deep conversations, and that's what this podcast is all about, is uncomfortable conversations. And thank you for sharing your story, Azadeh, like that. Even just that last part, but I love it because that's what made you who you are, and where you're at right now, right? So I could sit here and talk to you all day, Azadeh, and we might have to do a part 2 or something. But we obviously have to wrap it up so you can go out there and rise and rebuild, right? And get it going. So at the end, I always ask the same questions to all our guests, and there was so much fire today that I forgot to, or I thought about it, but we were already in the zone. So what is one book that has helped you in life in general, whether it's entrepreneurship or just life or etc.?
Oh my God, I have so many. I used to sleep with my books because they were my teachers. But the one that comes forth with your audience, because you are also a mindset expert, I'm going to say the book by Joyce Myers called Battlefield of the Mind. That book will straighten out your mind, because your thoughts are your actions. Well, thoughts produce emotions and emotions produce actions. Clear out your mind, man. That is what's going to mess you up. Even if you get rid of the narcissist and the toxic person, your own mind will mess you up. That book is fire. I refer to it often. Joyce Myers' Battlefield of the Mind.
I agree.
You're going to either win or lose. You're either going to win or lose here.
Yeah. Love it. Love it. Love it. And actually, one more question, Azadeh, before we wrap it up, because you're very spiritual, just like I am, and faithful, right? And to me, God is first, and I've always been vocal about it. Like, I truly don't care if other people think otherwise, but I always hear this question, or not question, but these comments that people make. So I want to ask it in a question to you. If there was a God, right, and I'm quoting, quote unquote, why did you have to go through what you went through? And what's your answer to that? If there is a God?
To awaken and help others. There is no other reason. To awaken to my own abilities, and second, to his authoritative power, fire, healing energy. God is the most powerful over everything, everyone, everything. So to awaken to my own ability and to his power.
I love that.
And to share it.
I love it. And I'll even add a third one in there, because also the devil is real, guys. Like,
yes,
just like there is a God, there is also a devil. And if it's that thin line that you might not even know you're walking. So just hopefully you do some digging into that too. Love it. And I wrote The Power of Being Uncomfortable, right? So what is one way that you got uncomfortable that has paid off?
That has paid off. Do it afraid. I could give you so many stories, and I want to be respectful of Billy's time. Don't do fear is not going to go away. It's going to come. Do it anyway. Make it your friend on the side. Let it just sit. Do things afraid, because Satan will come, and I'm going to say it. I'm not afraid to say who God is and who he isn't. You're going to get attacked. It's not about preventing the attack. They're going to come. Become a fire warrior and get the fighting mentality. And even if fear comes at you, do it anyway. Do it anyway. Do it anyway. That's my message to whatever you're going through. And usually it's fear. People are afraid.
Yeah, no, it's definitely one of the top reasons why people never do what they want in life, and they actually die with fear. So very deep. And it's funny, Azadeh, one of the questions I asked that I'm going to ask you right now, but I've been looking forward to, like, it's almost like I wanted to ask you this at the beginning of the podcast, just because I want to hear your answer. And I'm actually going to add on to it. What would you tell your younger self now looking back is the question, but I would love to hear maybe that 8-year-old self. And then also, what would you tell yourself as an 18-year-old looking back?
It's so cool that you asked that, because I've done so much inner child work. To my 8-year-old, I would say, you are love. You were born in love. You are love, and you're perfect and enough. And you're right. Everybody around you is crazy. Then,
Love it. You'll
and
find out.
you'll find out. Yeah.
Love it.
And then I would also, two things come to mind, if I may.
Yeah, please.
The next one is you're wasting your time and your energy on people. Trying to soothe people that abuse you is not the answer to be safe. It's the removal. Because I try to really soothe the abuser, thinking if I make them feel good, maybe they won't hurt me. And then my 18-year-old, you got this, baby. You got this. You're gonna get it. It's a matter of time. It's in you, not outside of you. Because if we tear it back down again, I'll rebuild it again. It's in you. You're gonna make it. God's gonna show up. It's a promise. It's not a little like pump up quote. It's a fact. It's real. Absorb it and dream it.
Wow. I love that. And if there were 3 steps as a day to success, and no matter what happens, if you do these 3 things, you will succeed. What are the 3 steps to success?
Love it. I love all these questions. The 3 steps to success. First, it is tapping into God's wisdom and power. Plug it in. I have it on my page. Plug into God, because he will give you the desires of your heart. He wants to see you happy. So plug into God. Second, you got to believe in yourself above everybody else. You've got to, even more than your mentors. They can't believe more for you than for yourself. You got to believe. They can believe in you, but you got to believe in yourself more, even than your mentor. So if any of your masterminds of Billy's, don't put the pressure on him. Believe in yourself. Ask for support, but you do the higher believing and let Billy show up under. That's the second. And third, get literally, let me see how I can say it nicely. Do a house cleaning. Get rid of all toxic people. Keep them at arm's length, because they will tear your life force down. They will
Can you
inject
say
fear
it not
in you.
clean?
Say it again. What?
I said, can you say it not clean? Explicit over here, baby.
Yeah, exactly. Kick everybody toxic that's pulling your life force down out. They
Love it.
are going to be leeches of your future. You want to fire and wire with people like Billy, with people like my mentor Amberly. You want to fire and wire with people that are going to be doing the same thing. Those are the main foundational ingredients. There's so much more. God, yourself, and others. And the others has to be purified. Get rid of the toxicity. Get rid of it. Get rid of it. Listen, I wish I did earlier, but I kept trying to soothe and fix them. And I wasted my own energy, right?
Wow. Love it. Love it. Love it. And, normally the question is if you were to write a book, but I'm going to switch it up and ask, what is another book that you have in your head right now that you could share with us, or maybe something you're already working on?
Yeah, it's so cool that you asked that, because this is my fourth. This one's a workbook. But after the next one, it's so funny you asked that, because I was thinking, because I'm so happily married to my best friend, my hubby. We've been together almost 14 years. And when I work with couples, I pattern our marriage for them. So I think it's going to be something on couples, because I see people in so much strife. It'll probably be something for couples for sure. Yes.
Love it. Love it. Love it. And where can people find you?
They can find me at Break Free, Rise and Rebuild. Give me some love there, you guys. I've been on social media. I've been writing books. I've been on social media about a year and a few months. And give me some love. And you can find my books on Amazon. There's 4. Yeah. Break Free, Rise and Rebuild.
Let's go. Well, Azadeh, I just want to thank you so much. This has been amazing. Just like, honestly, more than I was going to say, just like I thought it would, because I knew it was going to be fire, but honestly, it went above and beyond what I thought. And I can't wait to just listen to it myself. Just repetition, right? Like we have to, I always say we have to trick ourselves into greatness, right? Like our mindset into greatness. And this episode, if you listen, guys, and do the stuff that she talked about, I mean, there's no reason why you're going to fail. So thank you so much. Any final words before we get out of here, Azadeh?
Yes. Never, ever give up on yourself. Others will, but don't you dare do it. Don't you dare do it. Billy, thank you beyond words. I love everything you do, because music is my firecracker. God is my healer and my best friend and father. And then relationships, as I see with your family. You have everything that I believe foundationally that will take us to the next level. So I thank you so much for having me here. I love your energy. I love your energy.
Thank you so much. And not, of course you wouldn't leave without a bang. Like I just got chills again. Let's go. Those of you who are listening, make sure you guys subscribe, guys, to anywhere podcasts are available, Spotify, Apple, and YouTube too. If you want to watch the video, and actually Spotify just started doing videos too, so you could watch the video there. I would totally recommend you doing that, because you're gonna get even more by visually seeing Azadeh and all the great stuff she talked about. Go ahead and screenshot, take a picture of where you're listening, and tag her, tag me, and we're gonna reshare it. And I'll see you guys on the next one, baby. Vámonos.
Yes, see ya.
Close-minded people mad at me that I'm speaking facts. Or maybe could it be that I'm getting racks? Open your mind, gotta open it to receive. I'm always 10 toes for what I believe. Close-minded people mad at me that I'm speaking facts. Or maybe could it be that I'm getting racks? Open your mind, gotta open it to receive. I'm always 10 toes for what I believe.